Requiem in white. No, no, it's Requiem white. Yeah, that's it. Requiem white. Yeah, we're Guns N' Roses.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Requiem in white.
Once more I rise in couldn't see anything. In the fear I licked your hand and I could be anything.
Thank you. Sorry, Requiem in white. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm sorry. Okay. As these guys tear down and the next band, Hail, come on, I'm going to do something different that's never been done up here. I'm going to read a story, okay? A story, you know, like literature and shit like that. Except this story is about punk rock. You guys remember punk rock? Remember 1976, 77, 78? Punk rock lives. Mick Jones all the way. And this story is also about the Navy, about being in the Navy.
Oh yeah, they go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand, believe me, they do. And this story is also about drugs. Because if you didn't know, the reason why we lost Vietnam and the reason why there was hostages in Iran was because the Navy and the military was on drugs. Mega drugs. And I know because I was there and I was on mega drugs. And this is the story in punk rock. Okay? Mike O'Brien was sitting in LAPS, the Lewis Alice Power Supply space. In this space, on the USS Payne, out in the Persian Gulf, off the coast of Iran, Mike O'Brien had strewn about the space all these PMS cards and was trying to fix the space. But instead, on the portable tape deck was playing the Germs. Mike was sitting in front of the tape player, rolling a joint. The air pressure in the space equalized. With quick reflexes and veteran speed, Mike shoved the papers and reefer into a drawer, picked up a PMC and began to read it. The door opened. Just me, Rocky Putnam said, heaving himself onto the desk. Mike O'Brien relaxed. How come I didn't hear you coming down the stairs? Because I wanted to find someone beaten off. Too late. I did it about an hour ago. Sorry. Right now I'm rolling a joint. So Mike pulled out the pot and paraphernalia again. He finished rolling the J, smoothed the bag, and climbed up to hide it in a far nook amongst the beams of the overhead. He got down to look and to see if it was well concealed, and it was. Satisfied, he told Rocky to make sure the door was closed, and then he lit it. He handed Rocky the reefer, and they smoked under a ventilation intake so that all the smoke would be sucked up into the system, and no one would ever know they were doing drugs down there. Good system, it was great. Then you can put the roach into the system, go back, clean out the filter, and get all the roaches. It was a marvelous system, especially when you ran out.
Is that symbolic of the government system?
Not really, but that's an actual system that actually occurred, and it was like that. Proceed. Okay, above them though, footsteps clanged on the metal ladder leading into the space, and they quickly put out the joint and hit it. But in came 3 of their friends, and they realized that they were safe for the moment. But Norm Usher came into the space first and says, "I can smell it." That's not cool. Then he listened to the music that was playing. "What kind of shit are you listening to?" "It's your tape." "Oh yeah, right, good stuff, the germs. We must bleed, we must bleed." They all started to slam against the cabinet and pogo around, and the joint appeared again, and they lit it and they got more stoned. Behind Norm was Johnny Slocum and Billy Parody. They jumped in through, "Smoke, smoke, gimme smoke." So they rolled another joint and they smoked it and they got more stoned. Then Billy pulled out his new Motorhead tape. "Hey, I got this new Motorhead tape I just bought in the ship's store. Let's fuck this germ shit and put it in the Motorhead." So they put it up and after a while smoked some more joints. "I'm pretty fucked up, man," Johnny said, pogoing and gyrating to the music. Norm pulled out his Gibson SG and lit a cigarette. He began to strum the strings of his cherry red axe lovingly. He ran his fingers over the polished rosewood fingerboard like he would caress a woman. Each fret was touched with tenderness that elicited a wild, almost orgiastic response out of the axe. Norm's touch would send it screaming in ecstasy and feedback, but this time it wasn't plugged in. The same love and care played over it, but it only produced a tinny cold sound, you know, a frigid lover's response. Then he said, "Hey, I got a blank tape, let's record something. Mike, get your guitar." Mike returned with a Japanese copy of a Gibson Les Paul. They plugged it into the amp that was sitting on the floor, and Billy begrudgingly pulled out his Motorhead tape so that they could record. Norm played a riff on his guitar, told Mike, "Play it like this," and Mike tried to play it but couldn't quite get it. So he said, "No, like this, so Mike tried again. He was so fucking stoned and he couldn't play that he stumbled through and he goes, "Okay, that's good, play it like that." You know, like Public Image Limited, their first record, sort of like, you know. So it was 4/4 beat, he tried it, and they, "Okay, ready? Follow my lead, ready? On 4, 4!" So everybody started playing and he hit the record button, and then they all started singing, "Fuck the Navy, fuck the Navy, fuck the Navy, fuck the Navy!" And everybody followed and everybody jumped in quickly and they began to scream the words. They were sweating and jumping and pogoing and spitting the words out. "Fuck the Navy, fuck the Navy, fuck the Navy!" And then somebody found a heavy chain and began to thrash it across the cabinet of the power system. They whipped it with a vicious sound, and somebody found a dogging wrench and beat out a time on a trash can until they were screaming those 3 words, "Fuck the Navy," with more soul than James Brown or Aretha Franklin ever could muster in a song. They sang it with more passion than Bono of U2 could ever come up with. They sang it with so much power that eventually they stopped. Fuck it. Then they rewound. "Man, we're fucking great, man. We're gonna be stars. We're gonna go play at the Whiskey, man. We're gonna be fucking great." Well, anyway, I don't want to read that part, but that's just about how they got together. But now we're gonna get to the good drugs part. Norm, after everybody relaxed and settled down, okay, Norm pulled out a small vial of crystal methadone. "This is the last of the meth," he said. Now you gotta remember, these guys are out to sea. They've been out for like 3 months. This is when the hostages were in Iran during Carter. This is like 80, early 80 before Reagan was in, okay? He announced this sadly, holding the vial up for everyone to see. "There's only a little bit left." So Mike, being a Catholic, crossed himself. And then somebody else, Rocky asked him, "What is it with you Papists? Is that the host? Is that Crystal the host?" You bet your fucking ass it is. If not for that lovely flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood host, we'd all be fucked. Well, this is it, Norm said. Next time the white crosses come out. I mean, come on, Crystal, the white crosses. Billy shakes his body as if he had a chill up his spine. God, that would suck. We're spoiled on this shit. Norm emptied the vial's powder onto a mirror and he pulled out a razor from his wallet. There's not enough for everyone to do a line, he said. Pull it out, Mike said. Is it the only way? Yes. Where is it? Mike fished around in a corner beam up on top of the space. His hand stopped and he smiled. He pulled out the needle cartridge, the hypo, and the spoon. It was the only way. Norm cooked the speed and slowly drew it into the hypo. He worked at it carefully and slowly. A rubber tube was brought out and it went around Johnny's arm first. A little blood ran down the inside of his forearm. He grimaced and felt the rush explode into his heart. He felt the ants crawl all over his skin. Each person followed as Norm shot them up, and he finished the crystal on himself. It's getting drier out here every day, he proclaimed through clenched teeth. How much pot you got left, Mike? Couple of fingers. We better lay off, or we're gonna have nothing. Man, Johnny said, I love speeding. That way I don't get horny. Is that the only reason? Mike asked. Yeah, mostly. What do you do it for? The rushes, man, the rushes. I live for the fucking rushes. It's like the chill's always running through and I shake it off and grit my teeth and plus I can concentrate better on my writing. But for me, not getting horny is good, John said, slightly embarrassed. Huh? Billy muttered. Johnny ran his fingers through his spiky hair. If I wasn't wired, I'd want to suck your dicks. They all looked at him funny. He returned their stare, not trying to look at them. When I'm just stoned or even drunk, I get horny. I'd like to suck one of you and even take it up my ass. But when I'm wired, I can't get it up. We're all safe. You mean that we turn you on? Asked Mike in disbelief. Yeah. Like you're a fag? Asked Billy. Gay, Billy. Gay. You're only kidding, huh, Johnny? Asked Norm. How long have you known? Johnny, I've been out with you. We've gotten some girls. We've even fucked in the same room. Was it Lisa and Donna, right? Mike said. Yeah, I know, but I prefer men. I don't know how to explain it. Christ, Johnny, I know you a long time. Why spill it now? I don't know. I just thought that maybe you guys ought to know. I mean, I figured you guys wouldn't care. I guess it's sort of bad timing. But we're best friends and shit, and it doesn't matter, does it? No, but fuck, man. It's a shocker when your best friend tells you he wants your cock in his mouth. Mike says, leaning on the door. I didn't mean it to sound crude. Sorry. I love you guys. And please don't take that wrong either. I mean it. It's cool, Johnny. It's cool. Rocky says, getting up and put his hand on Johnny's shoulders. We've been out here a fuck long time, and I'm horny too, but don't come creeping around my rack tonight. I love pussy. Sorry. Mike walked across to where his bag lay hid. I don't care if we're running low. Almost over. I need to smoke some more. I'm too wired for this shit at all. So they rolled another joint, smoked the joint in silence, and after it was finished, they all left the space and headed to the mess decks, where this story would continue in a longer novel in which Johnny, the confessed homosexual, would be beaten to death by his crew members because he was a homosexual. And then other stories would happen along the line. You guys ready? And they're not ready. And they're not ready yet. Okay, how they got together? How they got together? Norm was the first one aboard, he with the Gibson SG. He was a musician of exceptional skill. He could play any rock song ever written, but played few. Instead, he would spend a few minutes or hours recording his own creations. While the USS Payne was dry docked in Hunters Point Shipyard in San Francisco, around 1977-78, he happened in the Mabuhay Gardens. Was anybody out in Frisco when the Shab Mab was around? Well, anyway, They were there, okay, they were there. And it was one of the first venues for punk in San Francisco at the time. There he saw classic San Fran bands. Negative Trend, The Avengers, The Nuns, Crime, and the Dead Kennedys before they sold out and whatever. Then Johnny Slocum and Billy Parody came next about the same time. It wasn't too hard for Norm to get them to go to the Shab Mab, and soon they were ripping up their uniforms and pogoing or gobbing at Dirk Dirksen, the promoter of the shows, as he emceed. And then Rocky arrived just before the ship pulled out of San Francisco, though not as smitten by the music, but he liked the nihilistic energy. He liked to smash his face into a wall, and he became a colorful and outspoken proponent of rebellion on the Pain. After the ship left the yards, it sailed back to its home port in San Diego, and Johnny Slocum went AWOL for 2 months. When he was brought back, he came back in handcuffs, and he arrived on board with another deserter, Mike O'Brien. Mike O'Brien had never reported to the ship at all. Instead, he hitchhiked across country and got arrested for vagrancy in Missouri, and then was returned. The two deserters became friends, and Johnny introduced him to the others who had introduced the music and the underground lifestyle they had all chosen. It was a way of rebelling for them. It was a quiet way, though. They hung down in that lap space, and they really associated with any of the other crew members. And when they did, somehow ignorance and misinformation got in trouble. Billy got beat up for carving "Fuck the Navy" in his forearm. Some older redneck crew members thought it was sort of communistic and faggy, so they beat the shit out of him. And a few of their workmates were sympathetic, but they only listened to the Psychedelic Furs, and that was about as far as they went. But for the most part, punk was a naughty word on the ship. A naughty, naughty word. The more hostile the crew became, the deeper these guys burrowed into the labyrinths of the ship. But they liked this alienation. But they were even out of touch with their civilian peers. Whatever was going on in LA, Frisco, New York, or Boston was alien to them. They never heard of Mission to Murmur. They never heard of the Girls. They never heard of hardly any of these fucking bands. Except they knew they were punks. They knew that what they were doing was better. Anyway, they thought society didn't like punk anymore. When Mick Jones said punk was dead and Crass said fuck you, they thought that was true. They figured the Sex Pistols were broken up, Sid was dead, and that was it. But this is 1980, remind you, and things had changed, and hardcore was the word in places like LA and DC. Songs were faster, louder, shorter, and the Germs were about as fast and loud as these guys got. For them, Darby Crash was the epitome of punk, and it was the decline of Western civilization, and they were serving its last ruling dogs.
Excuse me, folks, we're going to speak around. Start at the beginning. Start at the beginning.
Tommy, do you need an extension cord? Do you need an extension cord? Do you have an extension cord, Tom? Also, Billy asked me if anybody has seen his little mailing list clipboard around. Has anybody seen it?